Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Sister Circle live this Ramadan on CVFM Ramadan Live. And this is our final Sister Circle with you this year for this Ramadan. And we've joined you every Sunday from 5 to 7. And we will be with you today until 7 o'clock today as well. And today we are going to be talking about the health benefits of the Salah positions. And then we are going to finish with some nice ideas on how to survive Eid in lockdown. So that's our program for today. Hope you'll stay with us. And joining me as always is Sister Julie. Assalamu alaikum, Julie.
Walaikum salam. You all right?
I am now, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm all right. I had one of those, because I live on my own. I always have at least one day in Ramadan where I sleep through. I slept through iftar actually. So I woke up at like half past 12. Like, oh. So then time came around and I was like, I'm not hungry. So yeah, so I'm a bit.
So bad, isn't it, when you wake up and then it's broad daylight and you realise.
Yeah.
Happen to us all at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, it does, and it's just I just feel a bit squirrely. So the Sahur alarm went off, and I'm like, oh, I don't really think I need anything. And then just before like Fajr started, I realised I hadn't had any coffee at all, and I thought if I don't have any coffee, I'm going to have a headache. So I managed to get a quarter of a cup of coffee down me. So I've still got a bit of a headache, a bit of a lack of caffeine headache. It's a thing, isn't it?
Oh, I totally share that. That happened to me last Ramadan as well. So I can sympathize with the experience, and I don't feel too fantastic personally today. If I'm honest, I feel a bit worse for wear because I didn't have any sleep between Isha and Fajr. I did an all-nighter, which I think in Ramadan is the only time it's okay to say something like that.
Absolutely.
It seemed like a good idea at the time to stay up all night, but I'm regretting it now. That as you say, and it's not like we can go and grab a coffee or some water now. We've got to just be patient and ride the next few hours out. But it is we're into the final week now of Ramadan as well, and the body is starting to struggle. A lot of people should be feeling that struggle a lot more because the body, in the first few weeks, we're still quite hydrated. We're still carrying a lot of food. And obviously, as the fast continues and progresses, we do become a little bit more dehydrated internally. We can see it on our skin. Some people get really, really bad acne in Ramadan as well, which is a good sign, actually. I know it's not nice at the time to have a face that, to have obviously a breakout on your face, especially when we're so conscious about how we look. But the spots is a good sign because it means that the toxins are being released from the body. And one of the ways that they're released is through sweat. And another way that's released are through acne. So it is a good thing if you get that kind of detoxing stage in Ramadan, because part of the fast is to help the body detox from the toxins we've accumulated in the prior 11 months leading up to the fast. But obviously this, the final week 3 into week 4 is where things do start to get a little bit tough. The lack of sleep tends to catch up on people, and especially at the moment, because what's happening is the fasts are getting longer. When I personally started fasting in the winter months, the fasts got shorter, so they got easier towards that, whereas obviously the current month Ramadan falls in means that actually we're getting longer. So rather than getting like an hour easier, they get an hour harder, so we get less sleep on top of our less sleep as it is. Just have to be patient a little bit longer. We're almost there.
I was asked by somebody, not this year but last year, somebody went, are you ever tempted to cheat? And I'm like, I'd only be cheating myself. It's like, what's the point of cheating? You're patient and you feel it, but why would you cheat? just like looked at them as if, what kind of a question's that?
I think, because, I mean, obviously I work in the fitness industry, so I have a lot of clients that come to me, and we do a lot of different types of fasting throughout the year, which are not obviously to the extent of the Ramadan fast, but nevertheless we do a lot of fasting, a lot of different protocols, and a lot of different types of fasting.
Yeah.
And it's tough to fast other fasts other than the Ramadan fast. As crazy as that, because the hardest fast is the Ramadan fast, because Ramadan is what's known as a dry fast. So not only do you give up your food, but you give up your fluids, whereas a lot of other health beneficial fasts allow you to still intake fluids. Very few are actually a dry fast. So a lot of them just require you abstain from food or a lot less food, but you're still allowed certain fluids, which makes it a lot easier. So sometimes it can be more tempting to kind of cheat on that type of fast, but then that fast you are doing for yourself. You're doing it for your health because you have a health goal or a weight goal or a personal goal, whereas Ramadan is the only time that we actually do something back for Allah. Because normally everything, we pray, but we pray for ourselves. Allah doesn't need us to pray to Him. We pray because we need to pray to Him. We need the benefits and the blessings that come with prayer. Allah is not in need of our prayer in that sense. Fasting is the only time that we do something for Him. So I think that's when we find it easy. When we do something for ourselves, our weaknesses show, but when we do something for Allah, we don't want to disappoint Allah. And when you got asked, are you tempted to cheat? Where could you hide?
Yes. Yeah.
Perform that cheat that Allah wouldn't see you cheating.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Do you know the story of the boys with the three boys in the sweets? Do you know the story?
No.
Should I tell it? Can I share it?
Go on then.
There's a really lovely story. I heard it a long time ago of a father who had three sons, and he gave each of them a sweet, and he said, "You're only allowed to eat it if you find somewhere that Allah can't see you eating it." So one son went off, and he hid like under the stairs or something like that, and he ate the sweet, and the other boy went behind the sofa, and he ate the sweet there. But the younger boy came back to his father really upset, and he's like, "But I can't find anywhere to eat the sweet because wherever I go, Allah can still see me." So obviously he understood the moral that his father was, trying to teach them. So if you were to cheat your fast, where would you go to cheat it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It was it's that not getting the idea that the fast isn't to make you suffer during Ramadan. It's something that you offer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the person who was asking me completely didn't get any of that at all. Just thought Ramadan was like cruel and unusual punishment, I think. So yeah, didn't understand the kind of spiritual aspect of Ramadan or Islam generally.
As obviously not everybody's watching the radio show. Some people are listening to the show, but for those who can't see it, we have a guest in our
at the moment, anyway.
Julie's cat seems to have joined us on the screen. Seems quite happy.
She's just sat here looking regal, isn't she?
But the Prophet, peace be upon him, he had cats, didn't he? He kept cats.
Yeah. Abu Hurairah was he had loads, didn't he? He loved them. Had kittens up his sleeves.
Anyway, as long as your cat behaves and doesn't interrupt, I don't mind.
Oh, she'll be fine. Don't worry, she'll be fine.
Okay, so today, Julie, we are talking about two things. We're gonna, towards the end of the show, well, the later part of the show, we're gonna talk about some ideas for a stay-at-home Eid, because obviously we are in lockdown still, and we can't perform not only Ramadan as we would normally perform it, but we can't perform Eid as we would perform it. So we're going to talk about Eid in the second part of the show, and some ideas that hopefully will keep us all happy and entertained this Eid when we are restricted with what we can and can't do. But the first half of the show, we're going to talk about the health benefits of Salah. And we mentioned actually way back on our first show a few weeks ago about some health benefits of Salah, but we're going to go into them a little bit deeper.
We kind of just brushed over it, didn't we, really? Yeah.
And I think what we should do actually is go through each position of the Salah separately, because each position brings its own additional benefits that we need to be aware of. And this is part of, every time Allah has provided us with something, there is wisdom behind even the tiniest of things. And the Salah is the perfect example of that, because He hasn't just said, sit down, put your hands together and open your heart to me and make your dua or talk to me however you wish. He specifically said, do these specific positions in the specific order and at the specific time of the day.
Yeah.
There's wisdom in bringing all of that together. So, it's not like we can just, obviously we can do nafil, for example, anytime we wish, other than the rising and the setting of the sun. But if we're going to focus just on the fard, the compulsory salah.
Yeah.
And we're going to look at the position. So the first position of the salah is we stand. And we stand tall. And in an ideal situation, we remove our shoes. So obviously, if we were outside and we weren't in an ideal situation, we can keep our shoes on. But let's stick to the core basics. So our shoes are removed, and we are either in bare feet or socks, and we stand tall. And in that position, we have complete balance through the body. So we're not allowed to kind of carry the weight on one side of the foot or one side of the hip. We're not allowed to, shuffle. We have to stand balanced. The weight has to be neutral through the hips, through the legs, and into the feet. So we're not kind of carrying the weight on one side. When we do twist, and we do this a lot in our posture outside of prayer, we carry a really bad posture. We have become a society of bad posture, sitting in bad posture, slouching when we're standing. But when we pray, we kind of forget how bad our posture might be, and we stand tall. We lengthen the spine perfectly how it's meant to be. We hold the head back. A lot of us that work on computers, or when we hold our mobiles, our head comes forward, our neck comes forward, our shoulders and our backs round. When we stand ready to pray, we are straight. Our head is straight, our chin's lifted. This is obviously before the Allah Akbar, when we're just standing tall. Everything is straight and equally balanced. In this position, and there are not many positions that allow it, but in this position, we have full lung capacity. So when we sit and we slouch, we don't have full lung capacity.
Yeah.
During
pressure on your diaphragm, don't you?
Yes. If we are ironing, if we're driving, if we're cooking, if we're sitting at a desk, we very, very seldom have that perfect posture that we need to be in to get that full lung capacity. And a lot of people, and the current situation of the coronavirus is highlighting this quite nicely, but a lot of people don't breathe using their full lung capacity.
Yeah.
They tend to breathe from the top. So what happens is people go breathe and they go, and they raise the shoulders. Your lungs are not in your shoulders. Some people, when they do that, they inflate the chest, but the lungs are not in the upper part of the chest. They are behind the rib cage, and we have to think about where the rib cage is. And it's very easy to get oxygen into the higher part of the lungs, which we do when we are in, say, some form of flight or fight mode, or we have anxiety. We will tend to keep the air. That's the rising of the chest, the rising of the shoulders. And anybody who teaches you to breathe, heightening the shoulders or the chest, this is incorrect.
Mm.
You want to
Okay.
be filling the entire lungs, because what happens is it comes down to that whole use it or lose it concept.
Mm.
So if you're not going to fill your lungs on a regular basis, you will eventually lose the function of the lower part of the lungs. We have to use them. So by being in a good posture and breathing, we are more likely to fill the lungs to the very bottom and not just fill the upper part.
So if you've been breathing incorrectly for quite some time and have a poor posture, can then standing tall make it better? You know, you said use it or lose it, but can you actually improve a lung capacity by improving your posture?
Yeah, you can work on specific types of breath work that
Mm.
promote the oxygen to go into the lower lungs. And you can do this sitting down, or you can do it through exercise, because exercise is fantastic for having to use a
We
bigger.
haven't got much choice, have you?
But as a running instructor, and I take a lot of people who are running, and I teach people how to run from not being able to run to being able to run marathons. And a lot of people make the common mistake when they first run of still breathing from the upper part of the chest and the shoulders. And that's why when they're running, you get that like that, where they can't breathe. It's because the oxygen isn't going into the full part of the lungs. Somebody with asthma would probably be able to relate quite well to how that would feel. Or somebody who has had a lung disease in the past would be able to appreciate that kind of shallowness of the breathing. Or somebody who suffers from anxiety, who is, again, shallow breathing from the top. But exercise doesn't naturally make you use the lower part of your lungs. You do have to learn how to do it. And it's by slowing the breath work down, breathing in deeper. Breathing in through the nose is better than breathing in through the mouth if you're seated, but through exercise, you need to breathe in through the mouth, because you can't always get enough oxygen in through the nose, depending on the type of exercise that you are doing. But as you get fitter and healthier, and you take in more oxygen, because obviously you need oxygen in the body, your muscles need oxygen to perform exercise. So once we start taking in more oxygen, it will start opening the lungs more. And exercise obviously is fantastic for doing that. But not everybody is into exercise or into the type of exercise that would fulfill the whole lung capacity. So if this is you, then you might want to learn some breathing techniques that you can do sitting at home in the comfort of your own chair, that you can do in a rested position, where you can learn to actually breathe from the stomach. And this is called belly breaths. Some people, if you do yoga, you might know it as a yogic breath, but in terms of fitness, we know it as belly breaths. And this means that actually when you breathe, the tummy should be rising and falling, not the chest, not the shoulders. So even if you go, it shouldn't be breathing from here or here, but actually the stomach should be what extends. The stomach should be what extends, not the upper chest and the shoulders. So when we stand tall to pray, when we get in that position where we are ready to pray, reading for perhaps the azan or the imam, or we're just gathering ourselves for a few moments before we read our prayer, we are stood nice and tall, the shoulders are down, the shoulders are back, and like I said, the lungs are, for me, one of the main positives of this position, because we are able to take in full lung capacity. And somebody who would, one of the side effects of COVID was struggling to breathe with the lungs, the attack of the virus on the lungs. So the stronger that we can make our lungs, then when we do find ourselves in ill health, they will be strong enough to cope with it. Whereas if we do just breathe from the upper part of our lungs on a regular basis, and then we find ourselves with perhaps something like pneumonia or COVID, then we are going to struggle.
I disappeared.
We are going to struggle to allow our lungs to recover, because we haven't got as much of them working in our favor. So it is really important to exercise your lungs as well as your body, and that might be through work, it might be through improving your posture and being mindful of your posture. But even if your posture generally on a daily basis is quite rubbish, if you're praying 4 times a day and you stand nice and tall in the prayer, at least you are allowing your lungs the opportunity to, take in full capacity and to balance the weight properly. Because when we twist, when we slouch, when we drive, we compress the lungs. We compress them. And not only do we compress the lungs, but we compress certain muscles as well. And, muscles, they need to be used, they need to be lengthened, they need to be shortened. And when we stand up nice and tall, when we're standing in that tall position, we are relaxed, but not enough where we are sleeping. So the muscles are engaged enough to create balance so that we don't fall over. But they are working at a very low limit to create that balance. They are quite relaxed. So they are conscious, but they are relaxed at the same time. And the joints, the weight is going evenly through the joints. The joints are where they should be. It's just a lovely position to be in that on a general day-to-day basis, we don't find ourselves in.
Yeah, we don't do it very often, do we?
We don't do it. Even when we're stood in a queue, for example, there's a lot of queuing going on at the moment.
But you're not stood straight, are you? You kind of just one foot, the other foot. Yeah.
You might have your phone in your hand. You might have a bag on one shoulder, which is causing that imbalance. Not obviously drastically, but internally that imbalance is there. You might shift your weight from one foot to the other, from one hip to the other. You're not stood in that neutral, consciously relaxed, balanced state at any other time in your day, except for when you come to stand for prayer. So, and you wouldn't think that actually in just standing there that there are so many benefits, but there are. So that's the first position. And obviously, what you're doing at that point is mentally you are preparing the body for the prayer. You are trying to disconnect from whatever hustle and bustle was happening 30 seconds ago, and you're trying at that point to go, right, I'm about to pray. This is what I'm about to do. I need to focus on being present in this prayer at this moment in time. So that's what the mind is doing, and that's what the body is doing. So the second position that we would go in, and I'm not obviously going to go through each stage of the prayer as we would pray it. I'm going to just go through the positions in the sequence.
Okay.
So the second position is the ruku. This is where we bend over and we put our hands onto our knees. Now, a lot of people don't perform this position in its most effective manner. And I use the word effective as opposed to the word correct because there are some leniencies with the exact, posture exactly. So I'm going to term it efficient. I think that would word it better. So with any exercise, if the posture is incorrect with any exercise, then the exercise is incorrect. We have not utilized the muscles and joints as they were meant to be utilized. For example, you can do 100 squats, but if your technique is incorrect and if your posture is incorrect, you haven't benefited from performing 100 squats. You might have performed from doing 10 movements. If you do the squat with the correct, as perfect as you can posture, that way the muscles that should be lengthened are, those that should be shortened are, those that should be loaded with weight are, those that should be resting are, then you will benefit from every single squat that you perform, so the full 10. And the prayer is the same. If we focus on correcting the technique and correcting the posture of the positions through the prayer, our body stands to benefit so much more from each of those positions, which is what Allah intended. And I appreciate that, the purpose of the prayer is the prayer itself. But it's like saying, think about the benefits of wudu before you pray. It is still part of the prayer process. It's still part of the worship process. Therefore, correcting your technique is still part of the prayer process. We shouldn't stand to pray lazy. We shouldn't perform the movements lazy. We shouldn't do the recitation lazy or too fast or too slow or too loud or too quiet. You know, they may all be acceptable, but there are ways that are more efficient and more beneficial, either mentally, spiritually, or physically. So obviously I'm focusing on what is the most benefit through these positions. So the ruku, we bend over and we touch our knees. Now, when we are in this kind of position here, the Lord goes through the lower back. So if you have a lower back issue, what you don't want to be doing in ruku is straightening and locking the knees out. Because going out of ruku position, so it's from bending over to straightening back up, can put the lower back in a lot of risk if you do it with locked out knees.
Right.
But we know from Salah that our knees should be a little bit bent. This is what we call a soft knee. In exercise, this is what we call a soft knee, a soft bend. So the knees are not bent where they're going to sit down, but they are not locked out straight. We have what's called a slight soft bend. This means that the legs carry some of the load as well as the lower back, and coming out of ruku to go into that straight up stand up position is safe on the lower back, because we're going to use the tummy muscles to stand up, we're going to use the back of the leg muscles to stand up, and we're going to push through the ground for stability and balance. If we go into ruku with our legs locked out straight and we have a bad back, we are jeopardizing our bad back by locking it out, slipping a disc, not being able to stand up because, you know, we get too much pain, and being stuck in that position, perhaps having to go to the ground completely. So there's a lot of benefit to understanding that position. We also in ruku shouldn't be bent over. We shouldn't be hunched as if we're going to play a leapfrog with the children. You know, we should try and have quite a straight spine. And we shouldn't be too low. We don't want the head to be below the hips. So the head shouldn't be kind of, you know, as low as the knees. We're not having a stretch in that sense. We are performing a particular position prescribed to us in Islam. So I think when you pray in congregation, or you witness congregations praying, or you witness other people praying, we all do it a little bit differently, and it depends on the strength of our body, our age, our mobility, our flexibility, our knowledge of the prayer. Maybe we're carrying an injury, maybe we just had an operation, maybe we're recovering from something else, maybe we are in the best of health and can perform everything really well. So there is, you know, we can't be too critique on other people. You know, that person's spine wasn't completely straight, that person was an inch too high, that person was an inch too low. We can't be overcritical in that sense. But when an action is too out of the way, we do have to consider it to avoid that type of position. I saw a sister pray once, and in the ruku position, her head was in line with her knees. You know, and I spoke to her about it afterwards, and I said to her, sister, why did you take your head so low that your head was like, you know, kind of almost even below your knees? And she said, because I'm just so humble to be, you know, to be praying in front of Allah, and I just want to be as low as I can. So her intention obviously wasn't anything ill at all. She was just having that sincere humbleness during her prayer. However, she did herself suffer from a bad back, and that position wasn't for her to be in. So we chatted about it, gave her some advice, which I hope, I didn't speak to her afterwards, but I hope, you know, that benefited from her. But if we perform that position correctly, so I've explained to you what performing that position incorrectly is which having the locked out knees. If we perform the ruku correctly, where we have a soft bend in the knee and have a nice straight back, it strengthens the lower back.
It
strengthens. It's an exercise that strengthens the lower back. So, subhanAllah, how is it that once we perform it correctly, it will strengthen our lower back? So if we perform it correctly from a young age, then inshallah, by the time we get to old age, we should all have good, strong backs. And And I know from amongst some of the yoga movements, I do yoga, and from some of the chats amongst yoga people, and they always say that the Muslims always have really good, strong backs from the position, not just the ruku position, but also the sujood position as well, which we'll come to. It strengthens the back muscles.
Yes,
And so even for somebody who is not exercising, for somebody who isn't actively, exercising in the terms of outside their home doing something, prayer on its own supports the function and the strengthening
yes.
of the muscles. So ruku is particularly good for strengthening the lower back. And also when we are in ruku, what we shouldn't do is we shouldn't allow the head to hang. So once we're in that position, the hands are on the knees to support and help us to put our back into the correct position. But what we shouldn't do is put the head at that point, to really tuck the chin in, because that's going to put strain onto the neck and the upper back. We want to keep the neck, which is part of the spine, neutral. So
well, we're supposed to look at where our head is going to go, aren't we? That would keep your head kind of straight, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is, again, the smaller details in prayer that we probably overlook as insignificant have wisdom in them.
Yes, yeah. Well, when I became Muslim and I went to the masjid, I was really so surprised. I mean, yes, there are people who are infirm and have to sit on a chair or something to pray, but not many. And in my experience, older people can't get themselves up off the floor generally, but there's all these, like hundreds of people easily picking themselves up off the floor, time and time again during Salah, and it is, and for people who probably don't exercise at all, they're still absolutely able to get yourself up off the floor, stand up, bend over, and really, compared to a population that generally doesn't go through these movements, it's surprising how very, very limber everybody maintains that ability to move and support themselves.
I mean, bad backs in particular are just growing, and it does come down to incorrect posture in our daily life, how we sit, how we stand. Those are probably the biggest posture killer, because we how we hold them, how we round, how we drop the head, and when we look at the prayer position and how it straightens us back, and perhaps we are, as Muslims, are perhaps in better health in terms of some of these conditions than the non-Muslims, because
very definitely,
5 times a day we are. And obviously, if we look at the compulsory prayers, but you can do additional prayers as well. So you've got your nafil prayer, you've got your sunnah prayer. You can pray any other time of the day that you want. You can stand up and do extra prayers. Obviously, Ramadan, normally we would be going to the mosque and doing the extra night prayers, but we can do these at home also. And all it's doing, as well as strengthening our faith and strengthening our connection with Allah, it's also strengthening our bodies. It's strengthening our bodies. And like I said, that the wisdom in that is just, but if you perform the ruku incorrectly, you stand to cause injury into your lower back. So just be mindful that you don't lock your legs out completely, but keep that bend, and then you are strengthening your lower back. When you're in that ruku position, the muscles that run up the back of your legs. So, for example, the back of the calves, the back of the thigh, the back of the glute muscles and into the hips, they are all being lengthened. The muscles at the front of the legs, the front of the thigh, the front of the shin, they are in a conscious, relaxed position where they are stabilizing the body, but it's the muscles at the back that are being lengthened as well. And when we sit, they shorten, they become compact,
Yes.
they become compressed. But when we go into ruku, they get stretched. And when
Yeah.
they're stretched, they require oxygen, they require blood flow, they require calories, because when muscles are used, they burn calories. So just from that simple movement of going into ruku, and the legs are, some of the biggest muscles in the body, and we use them for everything. When we walk around our home, when we go up and down the stairs, to drive, to sit up and down, we require the legs so much.
Yeah.
But we don't stretch them on a daily basis. For somebody who doesn't exercise, you wouldn't think to stretch these major muscles in your body. You wouldn't even consider it. But when you do your salah, they're getting stretched.
Yeah.
How perfect is it? Honestly, how perfect is it? Seriously,
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, the smallest detail, and people complain a lot that their legs feel heavy, the legs feel tired, and a lot of it comes down to not stretching, because we might have done a lot of walking, we might have done a lot of up and down stairs, we might have done a lot of kind of up and down movements with the legs, but we use them every day a lot, but we don't reward them with a stretch. So if we can even just keep up with our salah, we will get a nice stretch, inshallah.
Yeah.
So third position is our biggest movement, which is sujood.
Yes.
The sujood position. Now, as you rightly mentioned a few moments ago, some people can't get into that position, either through ill health or through old age. And really, with the salah, it's very easy as we age to realize the importance of our salah. But in our younger age, it's very easy to put it at the bottom of the list of perhaps priorities.
Maybe.
As children come to age where they should be praying, they might not understand the importance, or they might be told it's okay, you don't have to pray at school, just pray when you come home, or it's okay to pray what the time allows at home. If you missed it, it doesn't matter. They might head off to university and not be around the parents, and it might not be enforced or encouraged for them to perform all 5 daily prayers, so they might forget about it for a while, or even for a few years. Everybody has heightens and dips within their own iman anyway. Sometimes they are just on their Islam like anything, and they're doing extra ibadah, extra zikr, extra everything. And then we have other times where it could just be a crazy time in life, and we are struggling even just to keep up with the minimum. But in a perfect scenario, if we were all following the 5 prayers from day dot to the end, we should be a lot more supple with our bodies. But we have to bear in mind as well that the prayer is there to keep our bodies supple as a physical activity. But what we consume will have an impact on our health as well. So our physical duty might be there with our prayer, but we might not be eating the right diet. We might be on a whole host of medications, which has a serious amount of side effects on the physical body. We might live in a home where there is mold, where there is damp, where we might work in an environment where there's a lot of chemical toxins that all impact on our health. So if in our older age we find that we're not as mobile as what we would like to be, or as we believe we should be, because we've been performing prayers and it should be looking after our body, but it might be something we have done externally to prayer. It might be our diet that's hindering our health. It might be a toxic chemical environment that's hindered our health. It might be a very physical job that's hindered our health. Somebody that maybe is say, a construction worker who has to, there's a lot of twisting and lifting, angles. their inability to perform sujood in an old age might not be because they didn't perform sujood at a younger age, but it might just be due to other factors as well.
Yeah, because if you've got bricks carrying something heavy and you get in the wrong position, you can really hurt yourself, can't
you? Absolutely. And they might not feel it while they're younger. It might catch up with them in their older age as well.
Oh yeah, I know that. I hurt my knee when I was 18, and I think I hobbled around for about 3 days, and then it was better, but it wasn't better. It came back to haunt me about 10 years ago, and the surgeon that looked at my knee went, "Have you ever hurt this knee?" And I'm like, "No." "Oh well, I did. Yeah, I did hurt it when I was 18. That'll be it." So it had this photograph of the inside of my knee, and it had like the cartilage had this big scuff out of it. It's like somebody just got dish. So that's why it was hurting. The things you do when you're young and daft.
It catches up with us. But sujood is amazing. It's an amazing position to be in. And
All right.
Yeah, I just got a really dry throat then, but there's not a lot I can do about it, is there? So sorry, sujood.
Yes.
It's a really amazing position to be in, because when we're in the standing position, we're lengthening our bodies, we're opening up our lungs, and we are allowing the body to be as it should be. Then when we go into the ruku, we allow some stretching to go on, and we allow some body loading weight to go on. When we go into sujood, we actually have flexion of the smaller joints, the toe joints. Who on a daily basis to stretch their feet? But when we go into sujood, the tiny joints in the toes.
Yep. So you're very careful to put your toes like whatever.
Yeah. But obviously, once we are in that actual sujood position, the hands, the forehead, the nose, the knees, and the toes are all meant to be in contact with the ground and facing the direction of the prayer. So we shouldn't have our hands like this, or our hands turned backwards. They have to be facing forwards. So when our toes are in that position where they're kind of, the toenails are pointing forwards and the foot is straight, we are getting a stretch on the bottom of our feet. We totally, as a population, don't appreciate our feet. Yet our feet enable us to get out of bed. Our feet enable us to stand and do our work, walk, carry our load, carry other loads, shopping loads, children, to perform our duties, to perform our errands. Our feet carry our weight all the time. Yet we can be quite, we may book into a massage parlor because I have a stiff neck, I have a bad back, but how many people take care of their feet? Yeah, it's them tiny muscles in the foot and then tiny muscles in the feet carry our weight day in, day out.
Yes, the forces that go through these joints is incredible, isn't it? It's somebody worked it out about how the kind of forces that go through all the joints in your kind of hips, knees, ankles, and then you've got loads of little bones in your foot as well, haven't you? It's amazing.
Tiny, and they carry our weight, and anything else we choose to add onto our weight. But when we are in sujood, we flex the toes, and we cause a stretch from the toes, from the tip of the toes, right up to the heel, up to the heel, which keeps our muscles and our feet healthy.
Yeah.
Well, as the toes, we have the knee joint. The knee joint is mobilized. The shoulder joint is mobilized because we have our hands out to the side. And we have a diversion of weight. So normally everything, gravity pulls down and we stand tall. But when we're in sujood, we actually have our head lower than our hips. And this doesn't happen, well, it doesn't, in fact, I was going to say it doesn't happen often. I don't think it happens at all in general daily activity. You know,
unless you're looking for something under a bed, no.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, the head is at the top of the body, the hips are in the middle, and the feet are at the bottom. But when you are in sujood, your feet and your head are on the same level, and your hips are now at the top. This obviously has an impact on blood flow, blood circulation. And one of the things that we come into contact with is we don't just have to look at physical health these days, but mental health and diseases that affect the brain. So, for example, Alzheimer's and dementia are so rampant now that you know they are projecting that in another 30 or so years that Alzheimer's will be the same strain on the medical profession as cancer.
Wow.
Because of the impact and the volume of people who are suffering with conditions such as Alzheimer's and dementia. And one of the things that helps keep our brain healthy is blood flow and oxygen to the brain. And you know it yourself that if you put your hand up and you hold it up, it's only a few minutes before your fingers start to tingle because the circulation is struggling to get up. And after a while, if you keep your hand there, it's going to go completely numb. And in order to bring the circulation back, what you're going to do, you're going to lower it to encourage the circulation to go back down. So when we pray and we do the sujood position, we are encouraging extra blood flow. So obviously, of course, we have blood flow to the brain, but we are encouraging a boost. We are encouraging a boost of blood and oxygen to the brain. And not just the brain, but you know, we have the eyes, we have the ears, the nose, the mouth, the teeth, the throat. But we are encouraging that extra flow of blood and oxygen to the brain. And that's going to help our brain stay younger, longer. It's going to help, you know, the brain stay healthier against just aging. Aging is something that we are not all blessed to achieve. Not everybody lives to an old age. And then not everybody lives to old age healthfully, you know, and one of the things that we know degenerates is the mind. But praying and keeping the blood flow and the oxygen constantly fresh, constantly boosting is going to help us massively. And again, the wisdom, Allah didn't have to make us put our head on the ground. And we put our head on the ground to show that we are low and He is high. But He could have asked us to lie down. He could have asked, you know, to make ourselves low. We could have just took a lie down on the floor. But He didn't. Lying down wouldn't give the brain the same boost.
Yeah, because it's that inversion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the gravity of having the hips up and the head down, which causes that surge, which causes that boost to go to the head. If we lie flat, then we would have that boost every night when we go to bed. And the hips have to be higher, and we don't have to be there for, you know, half an hour or anything like that. It literally is just, again, if you took a jar with a lid on and you put some fluid in it, you know, you only have to tip it to see that the fluid, it would go. And it's the same with the body. So going into sujood gives our brain that boost of oxygen and blood flow that we need to keep our brain health optimum as possible. What I forgot was I got distracted with the blood flow when I was talking about the flexion of the joints, is the position that our wrists are in. So again, we neglect our hands and feet so much. We're quite ready to go and treat ourselves to a back massage or a head massage even, but we forget about our hands and feet. We make them graft so hard on a daily basis. How much do our hands do? We do everything with our hands. We work with our hands. We drive, we cook, we eat. We maintain the rest of our body with our hands. But we don't often how do we sit there? Oh, I'll give my hand a massage today.
No.
It's not something that comes to mind
Yeah.
on a regular basis unless we feel some specific pain in the hand. We don't think about our hands. We largely, like the feet, take them for granted. But when we pray and we go into sujood, we force that angle on the hand, which again stretches through the muscles from the fingernails up into the elbow. So we stretch all the muscles of the hand, of the fingers, and the back of the forearm. Again, another part of the body that we just wouldn't think to stretch. We wouldn't think to move in that way. We can make it work. And subhanallah, in the prayer, it's thought of for us.
Yeah.
But we don't think about it. We don't think about it. So secondly, as well, when we were in the straight position, the first position, how we give the lung capacity, full lung capacity. When we're in sujood, we actually compress the digestive system.
Yeah.
So we go from being so tall, so the lungs have got full capacity and the digestive system has its full space. But when we're in sujood, we are compressing onto the digestive system. And you might think, well, what benefit has that got? But it keeps, a polite way of putting it, it keeps our bowels regular. So when we put, if we know from children that when they're suffering, to massage their abdomen, we know as adults that we can do a self massage on our tummy. We go around in a circular position to aid the transit through the colon and the intestines, and it's the same with the prayer. So when we go into that position and we compress, we are helping the transit of food through our digestive system. So for anybody who suffers, say perhaps with constipation, that position is really beneficial for the digestive system to be in as well. So nothing strenuous, but just that gentle little bit of pressure, which is beneficial, which we don't think about.
Yep, you're right. We don't.
While we were, there's more. There's still some more. While we are in that position with the forehead on the ground, we actually also get to stretch and flex what we call the intercostal muscles. Now, a lot of people might not know what the intercostal muscles are. Unless you have ever injured them, then you will be very aware of
them.
They are the muscles that run in between the rib cage, and they are the muscles that allow the ribs to flex to allow the lungs to do their job. So if you've ever broken your ribs, which I have, you find that you have broken ribs and you have very damaged intercostal muscles, which are equally painful as the broken rib, because they have to move to allow you to breathe.
So every breath is painful.
So every breath is painful. You can quite easily pull these muscles and get pain either at the front, because bear in mind the ribs are attached at the front, and they go around and then are attached at the back as well. So you can actually strain.
Kind of hinge up and down, don't they?
They do. Yeah. And you can strain where the muscles attach, or you can strain the muscles themselves, and it can be very, very painful. And again, this is a part of the body that we just do not think about stretching. But when we are in the sujood position, we are stretching the back of the intercostal muscles. But what's also happening is it's allowing the lungs to have to work harder. So when we breathe in the sujood position, it's not as nice and easy as when we're upright. There is a bit more effort. And they force the intercostal muscles to expand a little bit more. So that little bit extra expansion. Again, if you are an active person who exercises and you go into that lung full capacity, your intercostal muscles will get that full stretch because you are reaching full lung capacity and the lungs are forcing the intercostal muscles to work. But if you're not, when you are in sujood position and the lungs are having to work a bit harder in the sujood, as long as you don't kind of head on the floor and straight back up, like a chicken kind of pecking the earth for its feed. As long as you pause just for a few moments and do your recitation there and come back up, this allows for the strengthening and the stretching of the intercostal muscles. Who would think of stretching muscles in between the rib cage? Who even knows that they're out?
I mean, how would you know how to do that? It's just there's nothing else you do in the day that would do that, is there?
Other than when you deeply exercise and therefore use your lungs capacity. Twisting is quite good. Some twisting movements, they will get to the intercostal muscles, but it depends on how you're using it, because again, making them work and making them relax and stretch is very different. But in prayer, they're not working, they're stretching.
Yes, they're stretching, yeah.
And the stretching is very beneficial. And also when we are in that position, again, we stretch the upper part of the back. So the ruku gets into the lower part of the back, what we call the lumbar. And this gets into the upper back where the shoulder blades are. And it gets into the chest as well, into the shoulders. So I think I've covered everything about sujood.
Yeah. We need to take a break anyway.
There's a lot to cover with sujood.
Yes.
So, but that was obviously the standing position, the ruku position, and the sujood position. We'll come back. We will do the seated kneeling position and the salam position, and then we're going to talk about Eid. So we're going to take a break. Please stay tuned for the remaining hour of Sisters Circle this Ramadan.
Oh, is it just an hour?
So please stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
Inshallah.
मिर्जबरा की पहचान यानी सबसे बड़ी दुकान कश्मीर फूड स्टोर है, जहां हर रोज ताजा हलाल गोश्त को चूजे, ताजा सब्जियां, चावल, आटा, दालें, मसाले और बेकरी अशिया की वसी वैरायटी के साथ साथ बर्तन भी बारियात खरीद फरमाइए। अगर खानों में चाहिए लज्जत और तासीर तो सीधे चले आइए कश्मीर फूड स्टोर 123 अबिंगडन रोड मिर्जबरा 01642242426। आपका जाना पहचाना नाम, आला क्वालिटी, सस्ते दाम, कश्मीर फूड स्टोर।
Hello, Ellie here. Let me introduce you to Smoothprint.
Whether you need business cards, brochures for your startups, or posters to announce your grand opening, perhaps design a logo to further promote your business, we can do it all and much more in a record time and at affordable prices.
Smoothprint is your local professional design and print business specializing in shop signage and vehicle graphics.
Our team of professional graphic designers will ensure that your corporate image and values are shown in a memorable, charming way. While the state-of-the-art digital printing technology we use will impress your business partners and potential customers and will add to your competitive edge.
Smoothprint, Unit 2, Victoria Street, Middlesbrough, just opposite Lidl. Telephone 01642 688 400 or order online at www.smoothprint.co.uk.
They say there are only two certainties in life, death and taxes. Here at Chauhan & Singh, your local chartered accountants, we can't help you with the first, but taxes is something we know a lot about. With nearly 50 years in business, we have the expertise and knowledge to help businesses of all sizes and sectors. We offer a comprehensive range of accountancy and tax services. Our team has expertise in annual accounts, payroll, VAT returns, and a range of personal services such as wills and inheritance planning. So, whether it's payroll, account management, or tax planning, you can rely on Chauhan & Singh, Chartered Accountants.
Chauhan & Singh, 81 Borough Road, Middlesbrough. Telephone number 01642 244 090. Visit our website for more information, www.chauhanandsingh.co.uk.
नसीम, जब भी मैं आपके घर पर आती हूँ तुम्हारा कारपेट देखकर बहुत अफसोस होता है।
क्या करूं परवीन जी, उस दिन मैं कारपेट स्टोर पे गई थी, वहाँ की प्राइसेस को देखकर मुझे रोना आ गया था।
बड़े स्टोरों की छोड़ो और ये रोना धोना बंद करो। बरो कारपेट, जहाँ आपको अच्छा कारपेट बहुत ही सस्ते रेट में मिलेगा।
Don't pay big chain store prices. Choose Borough Carpets. Free fitting, free underlay and free home samples visit. Super thick luxury carpets on sale now. Lots of colours to choose from. Your local independent discount retailer. Borough Carpets 131 to 133 Park Lane, Middlesbrough. Telephone 01642 688 786. Borough Carpets, giving you the red carpet welcome.
मरहबा स्वीट्स एंड बेकर्स, ताजा मिठाई, केक्स, एशियन बिस्किट्स और सेवरी स्नैक्स, बर्थडे और सेलिब्रेशन केक्स भी नाम के साथ ऑर्डर पर तैयार किए जाते हैं। रमजान में अफ्तार टेक वे मील डील सिर्फ 10 पाउंड से। स्टार्टर्स में खजूर, समोसे, पकोड़े और मेन कोर्स में चिकन या मीट कढ़ाई, 2 रोटी या 2 नान या फिर चावल के साथ। मरहबा स्वीट्स एंड बेकर्स, 291 लिंथोप रोड, मिर्जपुरा, 01642 507 412। मरहबा स्वीट्स एंड बेकर्स।
हाय, मेरा सारा सोने का जेवर चोरी हो गया।
बाजी, आपने घर पे कैमरे नहीं लगवाए थे?
कैमरे?
जी हाँ, आपकी और आपके सामान की हिफाजत के लिए ये जरूरी है कि आपके घर में जदीद सिक्योरिटी कैमरा और अलार्म सिस्टम लगा हो।
Twin Security Systems is your one-stop for all your security needs. Specialists in alarms, CCTV for home or business, and even vehicle CCTV and tracking systems installed for your peace of mind. All brands supplied and fitted by our team of experts. We also offer PAT testing and all your electrical needs. LED security lighting, installation and maintenance. Twin Security Systems are checked and vetted approved, so you know you're getting a quality workmanship guaranteed. For a no-obligation free quotation, telephone us on 01642 687070. That's 687070. Twin Security Systems, keeping you safe.
ज़हनी सुकून के लिए ट्विन सिक्योरिटी से आज ही राब्ता कीजिए।
On 104.5 FM, online via the free mobile app and Facebook Live. This is CVFM Ramadan Live.
سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله. Every time when I'm awake, all things
Assalamu back to Sister Circle live this Ramadan on CBFM Ramadan Live. We are with you only until 7 o'clock, and then we will not be back until inshallah next year. So please do stay listening for the next 45 minutes. We're going to finish our discussion on the health benefits of Salah, and then we will be going on to Eid in lockdown. So we have covered the standing position, the ruku position, and the sujood position. We have just one more position left, which is the seated kneel position that we do in between the sujood and we do towards the end of the prayer to finish. So this is where we have our shins in contact with the floor. Our feet are straight and back. Our toes are in contact with the floor, as is the upper part of the foot. Our knees, then our hips are sitting directly on top of our ankles, and our upper body and shoulders are sitting directly on top of our hips. So the health benefits of this position. So when we were in the ruku position, the front of the leg muscles, they were the ones that were consciously relaxing, just a little bit of stability work from them, but actually it was the back of the leg muscles that were doing stretching. In the seated kneel position, it's the other way around. So now the backs of the legs, the backs of the thighs, the backs of the calves, they're the ones that are just relaxing enough to stabilize. And it's the front of the leg muscles that are now getting the stretch. So the front of the thighs, the front of the calves, the shins, and the front of the feet, they are now getting the stretch. So see, Allah created muscles in pairs. And when he takes us through the salah, he doesn't just stretch the leg at the front or the leg at the back, but both pairs of muscles are being stretched in one position or another. And when I first started to explain the benefits of salah, and I said about how the wisdom behind each movement, because Allah could have quite easily said, just sit down, raise your hands, open your heart, talk to me. But he said specific movements. The benefits of each of these movements are really, really quite spectacular when you pause enough to actually just consider them and think about them. And we don't. We when we pray, we're so focused on the prayer aspect.
Yeah.
And like when we do wudu, we're so focused on the water aspect, but we're not actually slowing down. And lockdown is a perfect example to slow down even a little bit, to just give thought, deeper thought, to some of the things that we do and why we do them. Because we get into this parrot fashion, don't we? We get into this parrot fashion where we just do things because we're so used to doing them. It just becomes robotic almost. We know how to do, therefore we do it. We know how to pray, therefore we do it. We don't ponder about why is it like this? Not in a why it doesn't make sense, but as in what possibly is the wisdom behind this?
Because there's wisdom behind everything, isn't it?
Absolutely. And when we look at the prayer, I mean, the benefits of prayer as just prayer, of creating that connection, creating that inner peace, that break from, I mean, the mental aspect of prayer is so fundamental to anybody's mental health. And I appreciate that somebody suffering with mental health might not want to pray because of how they feel. Well, maybe I'm not good enough. I'm a bad person. What should I do that for? My prayer's not good enough. I make too many mistakes. Or that kind of self-doubt that may kick in. However, somebody suffering from mental health quite often overthinks a lot of things. And when we are in prayer, we're not allowed to think about anything.
Yeah.
So it's a mental break from everything else at that point. Dua is different because in dua, you know, the dua is a bit more personal. But when we are in the compulsory act of compulsory prayer, the focus is the prayer, and we're told to focus. We're told, you know, and I'm sure it happens to the best of us that, you know, you can be in the middle of prayer and suddenly your brain will go, I forgot to do this. I've left the oven on, or you know, did I pick up my handbag from the shop? Just, you know, random things, and we have to at that point stop that outer thought and return back to that inner prayer. It allows us to really kind of shut off for those few minutes any worry, any concern, anything else that's hindering us, bothering us, and allows us a mental break. Exercise does the same. It's one of the reasons why I absolutely love exercise myself, because my exercise is my break from everything else that I do. But prayer is the same. Prayer also allows us that break from everything else as well. But back to the physical aspects of each position. So when we are in the seated kneel position, how we are now stretching the opposite part of the legs.
Yeah.
From one of the first positions, that Allah thought about that. You know, and perhaps we wouldn't. So that when we're in that seated, it's so hard. I wish I could like get up and actively, you know, demonstrate this bit. It's so much easier to be in that position, and then you can see clearly. But I'm doing my best to give you a visual through my words. But when we are in that seated kneel position, and we put our hands on top of our legs, you know, that supports us to be in a correct spine position. It may sound a minor detail, but if you were to bring your hands and put them like along on the floor next to your hips, you would be more likely to actually slouch into that lower back, to compress into the tummy, to compress into the lungs, and just being in not just incorrect posture, but to be in bad posture. Just by having the hands out in front, actually causes us to lift the chest, lengthen the spine, and be in the correct hip position. And again,
I'm tired doing it. I've got my hands on me. I'm going like, oh yeah, you do, yeah.
Having your hands down, you can do it. I'm sat on the chair, you're sat on the chair. You know, if you have your hands down by your hip joints, you will naturally slouch. But as soon as you put your hands, it's so much easier to sit in that correct position without feeling a load in your lower back. And the hip joint, how the hip is hinged in that position is very, very clever, because all the muscles, we've talked about the importance of the leg muscles, and we've talked about the importance of the back muscles, but the thing that connects the two is the hips. So the back muscles run across the hips, the leg muscles run across the hips. And this is why sometimes people who have poorly hips, there's a problem in their hips, may suffer with pain in the legs or pain in the knee joint, or they may suffer with pain in the back or even up into the neck, but it may actually be a referred pain from an issue with the hips. And again, how many of us go to have a massage and say to our massage therapist, could you massage my hips, please? We don't tend to do it. We have this focus on the back for some reason, but if the hips are out of balance, if they're twisted in any way, if the muscles are slightly pulled or shortened in any way where they shouldn't be, it can cause pain down into the legs or up, most commonly into the back. So we have to look after our hips. But sitting in this hip position is a perfect hip position. But how many of us, if we consider the position, how we sit when we drive, how we sit when we are on the sofa, how we sit at our dining room table, we don't sit in that nice tall position, allowing the hips to be stretched in the right position. We actually curl them in and we press them. And this isn't good, because especially the muscles that run along the front of the hips, this is called the hip flexor. And this is very easy to strain. And anyone who's ever had a hip flexor strain will know how painful it is to just walk, because we actually use the hip flexor to lift the foot off the floor and propel it forward. But when we are compressing it in that kind of slouch driver position, in that slouch watching TV position, we are crushing these muscles and we're compressing them, and they need to be free, they need to be open, they need to be moving, they need to be stretched. So sitting in that tall position flexes the hip in the other direction, and it's what our hips need to keep our hips healthy, and in turn keep our back and our knees healthy. So never underestimate the power of your hips, because they're so important, and we just do not give them enough credit. All the body parts that I've been talking about that benefit from the benefit physically from performing Salah, we don't think about the pause, the wrist, the muscles in between the ribs. We don't think about these at all.
True.
And certainly not enough. Obviously, if you've suffered a weakness or an injury in that position, you probably will, but otherwise you don't. You just don't think about it at all. And the last, I'm going to have to speed it up a little bit, otherwise we won't have time to talk about Eid. But the last movement that we do in the prayer is we turn right and then we turn left to give salam, and it's the movement of the neck. And a lot of people, coffee drinkers aside, a lot of people suffer from tension, headache, because they walk around wearing their shoulders as earrings. There's so much tightness and tension in the neck, in the upper back. And there are different types of headache. Obviously, we can get headaches from lack of caffeine. from being dehydrated, from different other imbalances in the body. But one of the ways that we can cause ourselves, in a sense, to have a headache is tension in the neck. And a lot of the times when we feel the pain in the head, our hand goes to the area that we feel the pain. So my head hurts, so we do this. And we might try and, rub or massage, for example. However, if it's from tension in the neck, it won't benefit to rub the head.
No.
We need to loosen the neck, and it won't even benefit long term to massage the neck. We actually need to immobilize the neck. This is what we do in the salon. We turn right, we turn left. We immobilize the neck joint. Which is, once we immobilize the neck joints, we have to use the muscles to do that immobilization, and that will keep the tension down. That will keep that type of headache minimal. So, subhanallah, everything
truly amazing, isn't it? Yeah,
has been thought of. I don't really think that I've been teaching exercise for over, mashallah, 20 years now. I've worked in so many gyms with so many different companies, taught hundreds and thousands of women different activities, different actions, sport, children, elderly. I've worked so far across the board, I can't even recall it, to be honest. But if you asked me to put something together that truly combined mental health, physical health, spiritual health, didn't leave a joint, a muscle left, I don't think I could do it unless I prescribed what I already know as the Islamic prayer.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything else that could match it. With my 20 plus years experience, with the knowledge that I have, I couldn't do it. I could come up with some things that would come close, that would be good in one aspect or not in the other, but not a complete total as the one that we have been with. And I don't think anybody else in this industry could either, if they were honest with themselves. I just don't think you could. It's every tiny detail has been considered and implemented for our benefit. For our benefit. It's truly, truly, truly amazing. So I hope that for those that have been listening, I hope that it has been beneficial, and I hope that we have perhaps give you an insight into helping you appreciate your prayer a little bit more, helping you appreciate the impact the movements are having on your health and your body. And I hope that, maybe when you are performing that prayer and you do remember what we've told you, that maybe you remember it in your du'as too. So that's it. That's obviously we could do several shows on the health benefits of Salah, physically and mentally. We've tried to obviously summarize them as short as we can, and to give people just that insight, basically.
It's just it's the little things, isn't it? The muscles that we and the areas of our body that we don't focus on are the bits that the Salah actually does. The important bits, the bits that carry us around and do our everyday things. It's amazing. Thank you very much, Amanah. It's been great. You've enlightened me, because there was lots of that I absolutely didn't know.
Inshallah. So there you go. Prayer is a very good form of exercise. So if you don't do any other exercise, if exercise isn't your thing, and that's fine, because it's not everybody's thing. If exercise isn't your thing, then at least make sure that you are performing your prayers and you are performing the movements as correctly and health effectively as you can. Inshallah. Okay, so Eid. you there? Oh, we seem to pause for a moment.
I know that my internet connection seems to be a bit rubbish today. I do apologise.
So let's talk about Eid.
Yes. Well, because we were wondering what everybody's going to be doing, really, because we're having Eid on kind of Eid very separately, aren't we? And sort of it's going to be a bit different this year. But I think that there are some things that absolutely are the same. And there was a few things I was kind of just looking around what other people, I had a look on the internet to see what the people were doing or planning to do for Eid. And there was the reminder that dua on the night before Eid, it's according to a hadith, it's one of those duas that are not rejected. If you make dua on the night before Eid, it will not be rejected. So, you know, your Eid doesn't start on the day, at sunrise. It's the night before as well.
With Maghrib.
Yeah. So to remember that, if you have any, well, all our duas, we would like them to be accepted, but spend some time connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and taking advantage of those times when dua is not rejected, and also that although we might not be able to spend Eid Day with our family and friends in person, it's still Eid Day. So to make ghusl as we would normally do, and to dress up and make it a special day anyway. So yeah, we can still dress up in our best stuff, can't we? And what have you. There's the what did I wrote this down somewhere. The Hanafis. Sorry.
I'll just share a funny story with you that happened at my friend's house, because I know my friend's listening. So her name's Yasmin, and one of my first Eids when I got married, I went to visit her in her house for Eid, and my extended family had chosen my Eid outfit. And when I went over to her home, and the outfit was quite bling, actually, much more than what I would wear. And when I went to her home, her husband came up to me and he went, just come over here. So I'm obviously thinking something's wrong, and I'm following him, and he's just come here, and he put me into this corner. He goes, just stand there. And then he moved back, and I said, what for? He goes, like a Christmas tree. And I always remember that. I think yeah. So it was. I always think now of Eid about dressing up enough to be nice, but to not be part of the decorations.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. So it's going to be a funny thing, isn't it? Because some people complain that all they do on Eid is stay home anyway. And now they have to stay home. It's become a problem.
There's no pleasing us, is there?
But I think what it is, that obviously, although we may kind of stay in our own homes, we may have company, or we might go and visit somebody else in their home, but there will be company. Yes. And on top of that, there is the social aspect of gathering at the mosque.
Yeah. And I miss that. I think I'll probably miss that most keenly, actually.
The Eid Salah. And then on the evening, a lot of people, they venture out. So, for example, the teenagers, they've had all day with their family. They might now go meet up with their friends. Friends might just meet up with friends for food, or family might meet up with family for food, but we might go out or do something like that. And obviously, none of these are options for us this Eid. There's information that we can. There's a difference of opinion. Some people say that we can still read the Eid Salah at home, some because of the current situation. Some are saying that we can't read the Eid Salah specifically, but we can read it to Nafil prayer. We want to read something. So that is an option as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, because of differences of opinions between the groups.
It's the different schools, isn't it? Because I think the Hanafi school says that the Eid Salah has to be prayed in the masjid, but the other ones, the Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali, say you can't. Eid Salah is allowed at home.
Yeah, I think in that situation, the best thing to do is obviously follow the advice of the imam who's most and I don't want to obviously promote anybody do something that they feel is wrong or that they shouldn't be doing. So I would ask anybody who is uncertain to seek guidance from their mosque or from their imam and then go with that. But I'm just sharing that there are some information that you can read the Eid Salah at home because of the current situation. Some are saying that you can't read the Eid Salah, but you can perform a two nafil prayer if you want to do something. Because I think Eid without that Salah would be. I've always read the Eid prayer in the mosque. I can't imagine even reading two nafil at home kind of being even remotely close to it. But because it's that environment, isn't it, of being into the mosque, driving down, knowing you're going to see people, knowing you're going to get to give hugs, give the greeting of Eid Mubarak, and not having that. So that's, like you say, probably one of the things that most people will, miss the most.
I'm
going to pause as these come up. I have asked some friends, if they're listening, to tell me how they plan on doing their Eid. So as they message me, if anyone messages me, as they message me, I will read out what they've messaged me. So I have Layla's messaged me. She's put, we are doing Eid Salah as a family at home, but led by my dad, but without the khutbah, which I've heard that's what some people obviously are doing as an option. But again, the Eid khutbah is just, I love listening to it. That will be, something to miss as well. And then Layla said that then we'll be staying around one house to celebrate and cook together. So I mean, that's obviously really lovely if you live in a house with your family. When you can do that, it's definitely a bonus at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I've got Fazana. Fazana said she's going to pray Eid at home, cook and Skype family members throughout the day, play games, go for a walk later in the day if it's warm, maybe drive to a beach. Are the ice cream places open at the beach now?
Well, I was in Redcar today, and Gabriella's was doing ice creams. There was a very long queue, a very long socially distanced queue, a very long queue.
So an idea may be for anybody that wants to have ice creams outdoors on Eid, it may be worth picking them up from the supermarket before Eid and then just popping them in a cooler box, driving to the beach or the park with ice cream or ice lollies in the cooler box, skipping the queue.
Yes.
To go straight to the beach. The fact that we are outside and having ice cream, because obviously in lockdown we haven't been able to go out much, and obviously in Ramadan we can't eat during the day. So I quite like that idea actually of maybe taking your own. You could even, if the fish and chip shops are open locally, you could even take your own fish and chip shops. You could kind of as well. I have another message from Zenith, and she's put pray, eat at home, cook. I love how it's pray and cook. Pray, cook. Pray, eat at home, cook. Phone, Skype, family, eat, and probably eat some more. If weather is nice, spend the day in the garden and go for a walk on the evening. Then if room, eat some more.
Sounds like a plan, that. Well, I just want a coffee in the daylight. A daylight coffee and a slice of cake. That's what I'm after.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's that idea that you can get up and you can have that morning drink. Not at 2 a.m. You know, I have a little message of one of the sisters. She wants to stay anonymous, so I won't read her name. But she's put, my son has been learning on YouTube how to read Eid at home with us. Then we are having a huge breakfast because we decided to eat the Eid meal late so that the son can eat just before going to work. Her mum wanted to cook and send food, but I'm cooking at home, and it will be a first for me to cook at home on Eid. And then she's put that she'll probably go to her mum's driveway and stand there to see the family following social distancing. That's a first for her to do the Eid at home, and it's there's a lot of firsts happening, isn't there, at the moment?
Yeah,
a lot of firsts happening at the moment. Sorry, I'm just getting a lot of replies now. Let me try and read through them. I have another one from Razia, who's put, Inshallah, our plan is to, after Eid prayer, we are going to hopefully have a celebration in our garden doing a barbecue. And it may, inshallah, be a double celebration as her daughter is due a baby. So inshallah, you'll have a double celebration, and inshallah, you'll be able to somehow have baby cuddles as well as soon as possible. May Allah allow you a delivery of a safe grandchild and mother safe delivery too. Ameen. That'll be lovely, won't it? And then I have one of Louise, who says, we are planning to do the prayer at home. Make breakfast of halva puri. Then my extended family are planning to visit my garden for a shared meal outside if the weather is nice. We will watch, cook and dish and bring it together. If the weather is bad, we will stay home and Skype each other.
Skype's a wonderful thing, isn't it? We could have Skype iftars though, couldn't
we? It's massively helping people at the moment, isn't it? Through massively helping people at the moment through lockdown, to be able to just see their loved ones and see their families that they're not being able to see is obviously a massive bonus. We have a message on the screen from Shema. It says, I don't think people have much gratitude. I hear some people saying they are doing Eid at home and feel sad and will miss many things. Can't do this and can't do that. Being in lockdown in general, people should have gratitude. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. But it's allowed us to have a different kind of Eid, hasn't it? And like a different kind of Ramadan as well. So it's not. Yeah, we can't do the stuff that we normally do, but we have had a more thoughtful Ramadan, I think, a more introspective one, and that's not a bad thing.
It obviously is for people who would normally get out and see family and friends. It may feel a lot more isolating to be able to do those things, but we can either, as Shema said, we can either see that as not being grateful, being ungrateful. I can't do this and I can't do that. Or what we can do is you can actually pause and think, I'm missing this so much. How blessed have I been previously? And how blessed will I be next time?
Yeah.
Because I've always taken seeing this person and that person, or going to the mosque or meeting friends. I've always taken it for granted, and now I can't do it. I realize how important it is. I realize how much it matters going to the mosque for the Eid Salah. I realize how important it is to see family and friends.
Yeah.
So we can either see it as a negative and be encouraged, as Gemma said, about it's not fair that we can't do these things, or we can allow it to make us appreciate it so much more next time. I mean, consider the families around the world who this is normal for them.
Yeah.
For us, it's the first, but there are families out there that this is normal for, and we should reflect. We should definitely reflect and not see this as a negative, but find any little positives, like you said about the Skype, the Zoom, and so on. That yes, it's not the same as hugging your family and your friends and having them with you. But what if you didn't have that?
Yeah.
We have to look for the positives. We have to look for whatever we can. So if I get any more, I'll read them out. I haven't got any more yet. But if you anybody who's listening, please do feel free to drop a message underneath the screen to say how you plan on spending your Eid or your thoughts of an Eid in lockdown, and we will inshallah read them out for all the listeners. But I need to share a really, really lovely idea. I have a few actually, but this is my favorite. And it's called drive-through Eid. And it's not my idea, and I wish it was. It's another sister's idea. So I can't take the benefit of it being my idea. It isn't, but I'm sharing it because I believe that it needs sharing, and I believe other people may benefit from it. So this drive-through Eid idea is basically to message friends and family to say, between the hours of, example, 12 and 4, please book in a half an hour slot of when you will drive past my house.
Oh yeah.
And the reason that obviously of booking in is because you don't want 10 cars outside your house at the same time. You don't want the neighbours complaining. You don't want to obviously any problems of social distancing or anything like that. So book yourself in to a time slot, and then during that time slot, put your Eid clothes on. I put my Eid clothes on, so we still get to see each other in our Eid clothes. Whoever you've got, and drive by my house. At the very least, you can put your windows down and you can shout Eid Mubarak and Assalamu Alaikum, and I can do the same, and my family can do the same. If you feel comfortable, you can come onto the drive and still be socially 2 meters apart. I can put a few seats at that end and I'll sit at this end, or I can put a table on the drive in between, which can have a few treats and snacks or things that are individually wrapped, so you don't have to, there's no worry about touching and sharing stuff like that. Or there will be items for you to take away, cakes, little pots of stuff, little food already packed, whatever it is. And you can take that away, and you can maybe sit for your half an hour slot if you feel comfortable, like 2 meters away, and then you can go, and the next drive-by will come, and seeing some faces. And I appreciate that some people will be utterly horrified at the thought of what I'm suggesting, but you have to bear in mind that we are allowed to.
Assalamu alaikum. I was driving past and I was hoping we can do a dry run now. If you got any food, you're more than happy to put it out there, and I can, take 5-star. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry to interrupt your sister circle, but I just wanted to say Assalamu alaikum, and a big thank you to you ladies for taking time out on a Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon and sharing it with our listeners, with our viewers. It's been really interesting, and
thank you.
Looking forward to maybe trying some of these alternative Eid ideas as well. So,
yeah, it'd be great.
My time slot is for yours, Idris. I'll book in to drive by yours.
I was a 24-hour drive through, so you can book anytime.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to come on air and thank you both for taking time out again this year. It's been really interesting hearing your ideas and your reflections about Ramadan and all the different topics that you've been discussing over the last 3 weeks. And this being your last program, I just wanted to say a big thank you, and continue supporting our Ramadan broadcast, and inshallah we'll get you guys back on next year.
Inshallah. Thank you.
Jazakallah for the opportunity again.
Jazakallah.
Okay. Allah Hafiz for now. You carry on.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Forgot where I was now.
We're talking about drive-by, drive-through, drive-by. Oh no, it's not drive-through, drive-by.
If we rewind to the other week when it was VE Day, and the nation was encouraged to particularly do certain things in their garden at specific times. So at 11 o'clock they were encouraged to do a 2-minute silence from the doorsteps, and at 11 o'clock, at 12 o'clock they were encouraged to have tea and cakes, and at 9 o'clock they were encouraged to sing a song, all of these things. And as long as we socially distance and we don't have that physical contact, it shouldn't be a problem, because if we can go into supermarkets and we can stand in queues there, and we can we can go back to work within certain jobs, and we can take a bus ride, and we can take a taxi ride, and we can do all of these things. But obviously anybody who isn't comfortable doesn't have to do it. I'm just putting the idea out there for anybody who is comfortable, because I personally think it's a very, very good idea, and a way of just having, especially for the children, I think, or for the elderly who are really missing that kind of contact the most. It might just be nice, even if the families who drive by don't come out of the car, even just the children waving to each other, and being able to give salam and being able to say Eid Mubarak is such a thing that we can do, and we can do it safely. We don't have to go in each other's homes. We don't have to get out the car. As much as we want to hug and do all of that, we don't have to. We can do it safely. So that was a drive-through Eid. But obviously do take the initiative to book the time slots. And what this sister did was she actually created an invite that she sent out to all her family and friends on WhatsApp, and got them to book in. And she explained the conditions. She explained, you won't be coming into the home, you will be staying in your car, or you're welcome to get on the drive. You must come on time so that we don't have too many people coming together, just one car at a time. And come in your Eid clothes. Me and the children will be in our Eid clothes. We'll put some things out if you want to take it away or whatever. But it's a lovely idea to do. And I just think if on VE Day, it's okay for the entire nation to be in their front gardens and partying with just a fence between them, because I don't understand how a wooden fence can actually stop the spread of the virus, really. But so if the nation can do that, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying all of this, but if the nation can do that on VE Day, I'm sure we can have one car pull up outside our house and wave and give salam. And just a little bit, just be able to see some faces will just be such a blessing. So that obviously is one of my ideas for Eid. That you can do with your family or friends. Another idea, obviously, is via Skype or Zoom or WhatsApp, whatever it is you're using, is you can play a game. You can have a quiz. You could have a quiz with your, you can designate your quiz leader, so that person's going to be in charge of the questions. You could have teams. So if you've got so many houses with families in, you could have that house is one team, the other house is a team. If it's individuals, we can do individuals. I even thought, imagine that if everybody had, for example, the game Ludo, is it Ludo or Cluedo, whichever it is, the board game where you have 2 dice and there's a red, yellow, blue and green, and you throw the dice and you just have to get all 4 little dots in the middle.
Ludo. Cluedo's the one where who murdered somebody.
Okay. Keep it simple, Ludo, right? Most people have Ludo, or could quite easily pick it up on the next supermarket trip for like even a travel version would be £1. We could play Ludo. You can roll your dice and you're green and say, right, I've rolled my dice, I'm green, I've got 5 spaces, and I'll move you on my board. You can still do it. It's going to be different. It's not going to be ideal, but if we just use a little bit of initiative, there's no reason why we can't make it fun. There may be more arguments because there may be, no, hang on, I've won now. No, you haven't, because
you were 2 back.
it opens to cheating a little bit, doesn't it? But it can be done. Something like another game. Is it Pictionary?
Oh, Pictionary, where you draw pictures.
You pick your card and you have to draw it. You can draw. You can angle your camera.
Absolutely, Pictionary.
You can draw, and you basically you have the one person that won't play in a sense, but that person will message the other person, this is what you have to draw. It can be done. We just have to think outside the lockdown box that we're all stuck in and find ways of making it happen. And I do think that if you have a way of doing it, you should share it with everybody else who might be stuck, because a lot of people are stuck at the moment and are feeling disheartened, are feeling, what am I going to do? So if you have an idea, share it, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So go on, Julie, share an idea.
Well, I hadn't really particularly, I mean, as I said, Zoom is a very, very good idea, but actually just calling people as well, just give them a ring. You know, it's rather than sending out that kind of, you know, that Eid Mubarak general WhatsApp message to everybody, just make it a bit more individual and just bring people up. And that is so much better than sending out your kind of, you know, your big send to all message. And if we do go out,
it's personal.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And if we do go out on walks or go to the beach or something, just we can still say our Eid Takbir, can't we, as we're walking around? Just you don't have to shout it. You can do it soft, but it's still you know, we're still having that aspect of Eid as well. Even if you stood in the queue for Gabriella's ice cream in Redcar. But yeah, it's and I think just and I kind of, I suppose you we're having kids, you'll probably decorate your house for Eid, won't you?
So that's another good example of decorating the house on Eid. Before I had my children, I didn't decorate the house on Eid. It didn't enter my head, to be honest. And I didn't spend Eid in my own house anyway. I spent it, you know, with the family in other people's houses. Once I had the children, I realized the importance of making Eid very, very special for young minds that didn't understand the religious concept of behind Eid. And I realized quite young that I needed to make Eid very, very special for the children, because they were in competition with Christmas. And Christmas is a 3-month build-up. The entire globe is taken over with Christmas. The shopping centres, the schools, everywhere, the radio, everywhere is inundated with Christmas. And here we were with Eid, and there was nothing. So when I had my children, I thought, no, I need to change this up now. So we started, and our decorations are all handmade as well, which is really lovely, because every year every Eid we make more.
Yeah.
Obviously, the house is getting better and better, and obviously, as the children get older, the quality of the decorations they can make better. But it's still really lovely to put the old original decorations up as well. You made this when you were this age, you made this when you were that age, and you know, to see that is really, really good. And obviously, it builds the excitement up. I know we can buy decorations, and it's so much easier to just go online and click and have it posted. But if you have children, involving them in the making of the decorations builds the excitement for them. It makes them involved more, especially the younger children who perhaps haven't fasted or only have a small understanding of what Eid actually is. Involving them in as much as possible is crucial. You know, if for those that have children, again, share the pictures that they have made with other families who have children to inspire them, and ask them to send pictures of what they have made to inspire you, but also so that children can see what other children are doing, so that they know it's not just them, but look, other children are doing this as well. And the decorations, what I see with some families is they kind of buy Christmas decorations, so they buy a Christmas tree. They look for the inspiration with Christmas, but this is not a celebration, so it doesn't really make sense to have a Christmas tree for Eid, or to have a holly wreath for Eid. But we can focus on something more relevant to Eid. For example, the next Eid is really easy, because it's the Eid of the sacrifice. And, you know, you can build a Kaaba with the kids. You can do models of the pilgrimage. Obviously, you can do models of sheep. for the sacrifice, this type of thing. This Eid's a little bit different because obviously we don't have something so kind of obvious in that sense. But something that's really, really nice is to make lanterns and decorate those and hang those around the house, to have really nice table spreads, to small models that can go on the table, to build a mosque. Do you know how easy it is to take 2 toilet rolls, paint them one colour, get some paper the same colour, and put where's the camera? Toilet rolls there and the paper in between, and then make a mosque that stands up. We don't have to do anything that's too complex. It can be simple. Julie, are you there? You froze? So, the decorations can be really homemade, really simple. We can cut out some stars and moons. We can use the Islamic flag. We can use, there are some lovely influences. If you look on the likes of Pinterest or even Google, if you look at the Moroccan influence, if you look at the Turkish influence of how they decorate some of their things, you can get some really lovely ideas that are not cultural ideas, but are more Islamic-based ideas. And they will be more beneficial for your decorative ideas rather than having, Christmas trees and stuff like that. We don't need to mimic what Christmas is. The children know that Christmas is what it is. We need to establish what Eid is for our children, and we can do this by really nice decorations. You can get the clear cellophane that you can draw on with Sharpie pens, and then you can stick this on the windows. Honestly, it's just a simple search online to see what is available. I have some more messages from people, how they are doing their Eid. I'm just going to read them out. One moment. I have one sister, her name is Mesh, and she's planning to stay home as the in-laws live in different towns. We don't want to make an unnecessary journey and put elderly relatives at risk. So we are planning to move over. Oh, you came back.
I'm back. I completely dropped out. I had to actually had to go back. Anyway, it's a thing. I'm back.
I was just reading a message from Sister Mesh, who's talking about how she's spending her Eid. And she said that she won't be visiting her in-laws because they live in a different town and she doesn't want to put them at risk. So they plan on making halva puri in the morning. Inshallah, we'll read namaz together at home. And then I'll be spending a couple of hours in the kitchen to complete the cooking. There's that word, cooking again.
Oh, yes.
And then we'll be FaceTiming all the family and we'll enjoy the rest of the day as much as we can. Working on garden lights these days, so hopefully everything will be in place by Chandrat, evening of Eid. So that sounds really nice as well. The weather is definitely going to make a difference, isn't it? If we do have nice weather and we can utilize our gardens, that's going to make a massive difference. Just to feel that we can get outside, in between all those calls. And I definitely agree with you when you said about not just sending a quick text in the morning to say happy Eid. Actually, maybe it's taking some time during the day to make a phone call, one where you can see each other. Will be really lovely because normally our days are really, really hectic with social engagements and we don't have those this Eid. So
yes, we'll have time,
in between the cooking that everyone seems to be doing.
Not me. I'm not going to be doing that. Well, actually, I might actually because I don't know. During Ramadan, I haven't really done a great deal of cooking, so I might just go. Oh, I might cook. You never know.
Celebrate. I might have to send you some recipes that you can do. And then I'll wait.
That would be lovely.
For the evidence on that you're eating it.
Oh yeah.
Do that. But I think that overall the message is to not be disheartened. I think Emma kind of got the message right. To not be disheartened of what we can't do, but still appreciate the things that we can do. And the things that we're missing this Eid, just think about how much more blessed we're going to feel next Eid when we can do it.
Yeah, when we can. Yeah.
Eid is full of blessings anyway. Being able to see all the people and go to the mosque and eat the nice food is such a blessing anyway. But missing it makes that blessing sweeter.
Yes, and when we come back to it, inshallah, we'll appreciate it so much more.
And we don't have to wait another year, because we have another Eid in a few months, and inshallah, if everything is okay by then, we can, make more noise, more food, make more fuss. But I think, I know I'm running over the show a little bit, but I just want to say this, that both Eids can be quite extravagant in the terms of we have such a simple, humble Ramadan experience. And the Eid can be so flamboyant with the whole kind of the new clothes. Obviously on Eid day it says, you should wear new clothes, but if you haven't got new clothes, just wear clean clothes. This concept of we have to have new Eid clothes, and with that new Eid outfit comes the new shoes, the new handbag, the new hair, the new face, the new nails, the new jewelry. The next thing you know, you've spent perhaps hundreds of pounds on that new Eid outfit. And we could have donated that to charity. We could have clothed how many other people more simply. So in this Eid, where we are facing a situation, we don't need brand new clothes to sit at home. We don't need brand new clothes for the mosque that we can't go to. We can wear something nice. We can jazz up something we already have, and we can put something together. And the money that we would have spent on Eid can perhaps be donated somewhere else. And that will give you even more blessings than any amount of compliments are worth, on how nice your outfit is. So we have to just think differently. We just have to think differently. Doesn't have to be
definitely.
Doesn't have to be miserable. Doesn't have to be a terrible time. We just have to think differently and show how versatile we can be.
Definitely. I'm sure we absolutely can be.
So that's it.
Do
you want to add anything else, or are we done?
No. I think we're done. It's been lovely again. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me, Jazakallah khair. I think we're both a bit sleep deprived. My eyes are really sore now.
Yeah.
Having this food in front of me and not having any sleep. It's really good. So.
I think I might try and have a little nap before Maghrib.
Don't sleep in this time.
No, flip, no. It was woke up at 12:30. Wow!
Yeah, I just have a really short one more to read out because the sisters took the effort to send me the message, so I'm going to take the effort to read it out. This is from Shanim, and she's going to pray Eid at home, cook, is that word again, and eat, family, go out if the weather is nice. So I love that everybody's priority is the prayer. I'm loving that everybody who's messaging and saying that they're going to pray first. But then I love how the second next thing is cook. And we just got a message on the screen of Shema, and it says you could give an Eid box to your neighbor, be it good snacks or
snacks.
Good idea. Even if your neighbor is non-Muslim, your neighbor doesn't have to give an Eid box. You could even give it to a non-Muslim, because that's just going to show your good character even more, and it's a lovely way to give dawah by just being kind.
Very definitely.
And if you do it with a smile, it's an act of charity as well. Collect as many good deeds as we can. So that's it for this year. And Jazakallah khair to everybody who has listened to the show and sent those messages in. that we have been able to read out over the course of that time. It's always lovely to hear from everybody else. And there's 1 week left of Ramadan, and I ask Allah to grant you all a beneficial last 7 days of Ramadan. May you all seek and find Laylatul Qadr, and may your du'as from this night be accepted. May your rewards be doubled, and may you, however you are spending it, have a halal, blessed, and peaceful Eid. Ameen.
Yeah, Ameen.
So, Jazakallah khair, Julie, for joining me.
No problem.
And
Jazakallah khair for having me.
same time again next year.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, and thank you to the listeners, and that's it really. Jazakallah khair for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
And now.